what's going on, you guys? Welcome back to those that have been here for a hot minute, and welcome to those that are just now subscribing to my YouTube channel. I know it has been a long time since I did a YouTube video, and I can explain why. So we got a lot to catch up on. The last time that I did a YouTube video, my son was roughly 2 months, and I just really backed away from social media in general. I just want to be more present with my family, with my son, without feeling like, you know, I always have to post or be on or you know, things of that nature. You know what it's like on social media. It was so many changes going on. We had moved. We, you know, just welcomed a child. My husband had a lot of job changes at that time. It was just so much going on that I just needed to get a grasp on. And also, I was really struggling with postpartum depression. I didn't want to call it that. I didn't want to label that. I was in denial, like swimming in denial, like for a long time in regards to labeling what I was going through as postpartum. I felt like the last 3 years was just like a lot, and I just kept getting fixated on a certain thought, especially surrounding my son's birth. I would get angry with myself. I would be angry with not listening to my intuition. I'll replay certain scenarios in my mind and just think like I should have did this, I could have did that, and whatnot. I just felt like, you know, with having went through the laparoscopy, the hysteroscopy, the medicated cycles with Clomid, IUIs, the failed transfer, and then to have that finale with my son being my last baby embryo. For those that are not familiar with that terminology, with him being my last embryo, I just thought I was going to have this fairy tale ending, right? Like I was just gonna have this birth that was just gonna be like, you know, everything was worth it that I went through. And those that have been through IVF, you know, all the injections, you know, the monitoring, you know, all the disappointments that come with it. And I just thought like, at least let me have this birth. You know what I'm saying? And then to get linked up with a doctor that gave no cares about my journey, no cares about how important this was to me. I was just another, you know, number in the system to her. And she just made sure that, you know, I was going to be treated like I was nobody special. It was mainly the nurse that just really just poked at that nerve. But I, you know, the doctor she was straight. Yeah, and I just felt like I was so far along. I had already switched doctors from another doctor to her, and then, you know, I was like 22, 23 weeks, maybe 25 weeks when I felt like the vibes was off with this facility. And then I should have listened to my intuition, but I just felt like I was just too far in it to jump ship. Because my advice to anybody that is pregnant, no matter how far along you are, if you feel like the vibes ain't right, if you feel like they just, you know, you just another number, they ain't giving the same energy, like this is an important time in your life, whether it's 1 child, 2 child, your 3rd child, 4th child. If you feel like something ain't right, believe your intuition, go with it, and find somebody, and don't settle until you find the right fit. You know what I'm saying? That's why I'm like, my experience with this doctor is not based on, you know, somebody else's experience, because I was reading reviews on doctors, I was reading reviews on places, and people had a good experience, bad experience, and that's just subjective to what's going on in their life, because, you know, doctors are people too. They can have stuff going on in their personal life where they have to kind of treat, you know, go through the motions with their job, and you know what I'm saying, that's fine. But my advice to you is don't settle when you feel like something ain't right. And nonetheless, that it has been the first 6 months of my son's birth. I'm not going to linger too much on that because I've already processed it. I'm already coming to terms with it. I've accepted it. I also accepted that, you know, this journey, which is IVF, and, you know, having to go through IVF to have children, I've also accepted that. That was a thing for me too. I'm like, why do I got to go through this every time I want to have a child or whatnot? You know, it's just my journey. It's just my unique path, and, you know, ain't nothing I can do about it. So I have accepted it, and I have moved forward. We have moved forward, and we have started IVF again. I've been low-key about it because I just don't know what that journey is going to look like the second go round. We have already had our first appointment. We have already did our blood work. I did like, I think it was like 10 or 11 vials of blood. My husband did his blood work and did everything he needed to do to get us started. I had a ultrasound to, you know, look in my area, make sure everything is what it needs to be, and, you know, if there's any fibroids, to, you know, be aware of that, and any other things that may cause some alarms. And so the ultrasound tech wasn't able to tell me per se what she found, but she did put a little good bug in my ear, and I'm happy about that because your girl was feeling nervous. I was like, oh my gosh, I'll be 37 this year, y'all. I'll be 38 next year. Like, I'm really nervous. So she put a little good bug in my ear, and I have an HSG this coming Monday. I'm not looking forward to that. For those that watched my first IVF video, I talked briefly about my HSG experience. But then, at that time I had blocked tubes. And so she kept on trying to pump that dye. And I'm like, sis, if you pump that dye one more time, we're going to have some problems. I'm like, look, they blocked, and it's what it is. She kept trying to pump the dye, seeing if she can open a tube. But I was like, girl, if you pump that dye one more time. So my first experience was... it was for the birds. It was painful. I was annoyed. I was in shock. This time I at least kind of know what to, what to expect. Also this time I don't have my left tube, and I supposedly my right tube is open. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see. I'll keep you guys updated as I know things. So this coming Monday I have my HSG, and on Wednesday, February 13th, we kind of have a meeting of the minds where we have everything on the table. All our diagnostic tests will be back by then. The x-ray from the HSG will be there. And the findings from the ultrasound, if anything, will be on the table, so we know how to move forward. If everything is everything, she wants to try to retrieve in March. And so that's just, I'm just going through the motions, y'all. And but if it ends up with me having another child, I'm all for it. Like, he is walking. He's trying to walk. He's walking in his walker. He's trying to walk, but he crawls, and he is the love of my little life. And so, I know what to expect this go round. Not to say that it gets easier with the first or second round of IVF. You just know what to expect. And so it is what it is. I've come to terms with it. I've accepted it. And I'm hoping for the best, especially in regards to the HSG, because if fluid is in my tube, then they will have to go in and remove my right tube, which I am not looking forward to, but it is what it is. And that won't affect the retrieval. So I will still be able to retrieve in March if everything is what it needs to be. So yeah, we do our retrieval, Lord willing, in March, and we're not going to transfer until probably the end of this year, early next year. I just want to get myself in good physical shape. I don't want any excuses because, I'll already be geriatric when it comes down to carrying my next child. I was geriatric with my pregnancy this time. And so I just want to make sure that I'm in tip-top shape. I've just been working outside the home in a job that makes me move all day for 10 hours straight. So I'm just taking my time, just being present for my son as he's growing up and just enjoying that journey. It's been a journey. It's been a roller coaster, but that's life. You know what I'm saying? That's what makes life an adventure. You always want this perfect, I won't say perfect, but like this Disney storybook life, and it's not like that. And that's okay, because you can't appreciate the sun unless you know the rain, unless you just been in rains. You can't appreciate the rain unless you just been in the dry desert or sun. So I feel like all the things that we experience in life, makes me more grateful. Because I never thought I would get the opportunity to be a mom. Again, my husband and I have been trying for almost 10 years, and then was told we'll never have kids outside of IVF in January of 2020. So in my mind, I just thought I would never be a mom. And at that point in my life, all I wanted to be was a mom. And to get that soul crushing news that I would never be a mom outside of IVF it just shattered my world. And so I am so grateful for the opportunity to have had carried my son, no matter how the outcome was, no matter how frustrated I was on that end, but just to be able to carry him, feel him growing and kicking, is an opportunity I never thought I would have, and I would never ever take that for granted. Like my son for granted ever. I never thought I would be able to hold my baby to touch him, to kiss him, to watch him grow, to watch him smile. Just the little things. It just makes me so grateful to just be given this chance. And because we experience a lot of loss and a lot of L's, man, a lot of L's, man. And you really can be bitter if you allow yourself to keep looking at somebody else's life. But when I took the focus off, comparing my life to how such and such was able to do things, how such and such was able to become a mom, and I'm too old, I'm too young. You know what I'm saying? When you take away ageism out of it, and when you just get rooted in the life that God has for you, you see it as one that points to Him, one that exposes your weakness and need of strength that you can only get from Him. And you realize that this is your unique journey, your unique life, and whatever you're going through, it has a purpose. You know what I'm saying? Because you think, like, during that time, like, I know me, I struggled a lot with my faith. I struggled a lot with even believing in God at that point. But it was all to refine what I actually believe. It's one thing to grow up like in a Christian space and that I'm a Christian because of proximity. But it's another thing to say I'm a Christian because I've experienced God. I experienced walking with Him in the middle of the biggest storm in my life. So now I know God for me. Not because my mama them told me, not because my grandma them told me, not because I went to church all the time. I grew up in the church per se, and I was the biggest heathen. So I'm just gonna call it what it is. So just to walk through that and experience God for myself, and just to get to a place of gratitude is only a thing that God can do, because the last 3 years I had my fist up to the sky. It was rough, and I was angry because I was the most angry because I couldn't shake the fact that I knew God existed and I was going through what I was going through. I kept trying to say God doesn't exist. I just couldn't get to that place. But it was the angry part was that I knew He existed and He knew what I was going through and allowed it to happen. So that was the most frustrating part of that. If you guys want to know more about that particular journey, for those that are Christians and in this space of infertility, I would be more than happy to share in more detail my process on how I got to this place now. And this happened before my son was even born. I got into a place of acceptance per se. That if or not, that I was content. And so if you want to know how I got to that space, if you want to know more about that journey, I will definitely do some more videos under the Heal Sis little channel on my YouTube. So I do have a couple of videos titled Heal Sis that talks about different things, but I feel like I've grown so much since those videos. Like, I feel like that was, you know what I'm saying, like a little girl Crystal talking. Now I'm a woman. So I definitely got some more videos that I want to do under the Heal Sis. And I do have a podcast for those that are interested called Girl Talk with Chris, where I talk about various things. So if you're interested in that as well, feel free to join me on there. I will start posting under Girl Talk with Chris soon. I just haven't posted any videos or any podcasts in a while, mainly because I wanted some things to bake a little bit before I just go out there and just talk about stuff. So nonetheless, you guys, I got messages popping up on my phone, so I guess that means I need to get on out of here. Until next time, peace.